could you introduce yourself and you can start whenever you're ready?
Okay, so I'm Sanvi, and I'm a 6th grade student at Berkshire Middle School in Ohio. And my invention is an eco-friendly smart bin called Cafe Waste X2000. So let's just start the presentation. Did you know over 1 million marine animals are killed each year due to plastic debris in the ocean? Currently, it's estimated that there's over 100 million tons of plastic in oceans around the world. It is extremely concerning and heartbreaking. Hi, I'm Sanvi Keskar. I'm a 6th grade student at Olentangy Berkshire Middle School in Delaware, Ohio. My invention is called Cafe Waste X2000, which means no cafeteria waste. Plastic pollution and food wastage is a global crisis, which affects everybody in one way or another. From grocery prices to climate change, dirty water, dying animal species, and toxic chemicals getting released into the air, causing many medical problems, such as cancer. So how did I find this problem? In my school cafeteria, I noticed that all the food, plates, and utensils were dumped into the same bin and got all mixed together. I wondered, how can plates and utensils be recycled? How can food turn into compost? I later discovered that it can't be, because this waste had to be separated to do so. It had to go to landfills. I saw this problem again at the airports, even though there was already a solution to it. Trash bins for each different type of material, where you had to manually separate your waste. But some people didn't separate their waste properly, and instead dumped it in one container, which didn't solve the problem. I knew I needed an automated solution. But first, I had to do some research on this problem, so I can get a better idea on how big it really is. I found out that there's about 9,000 schools in Ohio. Assuming there's 15 trash bins in every school cafeteria, which is how many I have in mine, that's 135,000 big-sized trash cans worth of trash coming out every single day, just from school cafeterias in Ohio. This number goes to 2 million when we talk about all the school cafeterias trash in the entire nation, daily. Now imagine the trash coming from colleges, universities, malls, food courts, hospitals. That's a lot of trash. Americans generate more than 267 million tons of solid waste every year, and only about 33% of this waste gets recycled or turned into compost. The rest of the waste goes into landfills. This number has stayed between 30 and 35% since the early 2000s. I knew I wanted to solve this problem. I wanted to create an invention that was automatic, budget-friendly, and most of all playing an impact in solving this problem. My first idea was a robotic claw and scanner in a trash bin that separates each different type of material. But I instantly knew that this was totally not budget-friendly. My second idea was a shaking device in a trash bin that shakes food and plates separate. But this idea was a safety hazard, especially to younger children in schools. I have a cat at home, and she uses an automatic litter box. I saw that her litter box provided the same function I needed. So I did some research on how it works, and I found out it uses a metal grid to filter the litter and your business. I decided to use this mechanism towards my final solution, as it met all of my 3 criteria. So, in Cafe Waste X2000, there's a food compartment for the food and a plate compartment for the plates. There's also an additional compartment for utensils, because I discovered that utensils need to be recycled separately than other objects due to their unique shape. Using the metal grid, the food goes through it and goes into the food container, but the plate's too big to go through the holes in the metal grid, and instead slides on it and goes into the plate container. Currently, I have 5 versions of my invention. This is my first version. I made it out of a small plastic bin I had at home, cardboard, 3 kitchen containers, and a cookie baking tray. You can see the black line in the middle, which is the cookie baking tray. All you do is put your utensil into the utensil container, which is not shown, and then you take your plate, you flip it upside down, and you let go. The plate slides on the grid as it's at an angle and goes into the green container at the bottom. while the food goes through it and goes into the blue container. This is the second version of my invention. After collecting feedback from the first version by my parents and teachers, I discovered that instead of taping the metal grid onto the trash bin, I should hang it on hooks. Using 2 picture frame hooks, I hung it onto the trash bin. This is because now it's more sturdy and easily removable, so it can be easily cleaned. This is the third version of my invention. I wanted to create a bigger size trash bin, so I could test it on more things. As you can see in the bottom picture, there's 3 different sized grids. And I knew I needed to make multiple different sized grids because as I was testing, I discovered that food and plates come in all different sizes. You don't want the plate to be too small and go through the grid into the food container, or the food to be too big, slide on the grid and go into the plate container. For the 4th and 5th version of my invention, I wanted to build a professional version of my product, but I didn't know anybody in the manufacturing business. I did some research and contacted multiple local manufacturers, but I got no response. It makes sense. An email coming from an 11-year-old won't catch much attention, as people might not take me seriously. One day, I was shopping with my family and I noticed that all the products were built in other countries. I thought, maybe I could try reaching out internationally. It was a long shot, but I had nothing to lose, so I gave it a shot. I sent out over 50 emails to manufacturers in Asia, and after a while, I finally got 2 responses from India. I connected with them multiple times via Zoom, and they agreed to build my product. After creating these 2 versions, which is made completely out of tin, I tested at home a lot. Because of this, I made multiple changes, as you can see in the green version, which is my 5th version. The top arrow is pointing towards 2 metal strips, and this is because as I was testing the 4th, with my breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, I saw that some of the food wouldn't fall inside the bin, but instead fall on the sides, which made a mess. The second arrow is pointing to a small tool I made, which is an angle raiser, used to raise the angle of the metal grid. Because lighter plates didn't slide on the grid that well, I needed an extra nudge. Even though this wasn't really a problem, I still wanted to create my invention as convenient as possible. The third arrow is pointing to the utensil container. I made the utensil container removable, so the utensils are easy to be disposed of. Even though my products evolved so much over the past 2.5 years, I still have many plans for the future, such as adding a motion-sensed lid, a foot pedal, double-sided disposal, air filter, and wheels. Here's a demo of my invention. First, I take my utensil, I put it in the utensil container, I take my plate, then I flip it upside down, and I let go. And you can see they were automatically separated. Now, I had to make sure that my invention was original. I did research on USPTO, Google Patents, Amazon, Walmart, and Target. But the only similar invention I could find was the trash bins to multiple different containers, where you had to manually separate your waste. Cafe Waste X2000 does this work automatically for you. After knowing my invention was original, I decided to file for a patent. Currently, I have a provisional patent on my invention, and I'm trying to find a way to get a full patent soon. So everybody, I hope you can see the huge impact that this eco-friendly smart trash bin will bring. Environmentally, as less animals eat this trash and get sick, the water gets less polluted, less greenhouse gases get emitted. This also helps us socially too, as less toxic chemicals get released into the air, making us get sick from horrible diseases. This even helps us financially, as we don't have to spend that much money manually separating this waste in recycling facilities, because this work is done automatically for you. So it's easy to recycle plates and utensils and turn food into compost, making a huge impact on our planet. Thank you. So I've documented this journey in my logbook for the past 2 years, where I've documented all my steps and the journey throughout this entire process. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Sanvi Keskar, the inventor of Cafe Waste X2000, an environmentally friendly smart bin.
Wow, that was absolutely thrilling.
Thank
That
you.
was some serious design work, Sanvi.
Thank you.
That name was top notch. It was on point. It reminds me of as if you are a mad scientist creating her first invention, except for good and not for evil.
Yeah, I have some questions. So in your initial prototype, where you had the smaller grid, I understand you went away from the metal grid to something larger. So what happens if people don't remove the utensils? Will the utensils go through that larger grid that you had manufactured in India, or will they slide down with the plates?
So there was an additional compartment for utensils on the side of the bin because as I was doing some research, I found out that utensils need to be recycled separately. So first you just put utensils into that container manually, and I'm still working on creating a design that can do this automatically for you. And when you dump your plate upside down, the food goes through the grid into little holes, and then the plate slides on it. So that even if you don't like get rid of the grid, it still functions pretty well.
Yeah. And the paper doesn't affect anything because it's just going to be compost. I do have another suggestion. I love the design. That's a beautiful design. And I also love that you kept iterating the prototype that you had manufactured. That's such a cool thing. Would you consider putting compostable bags in that food container so that the end user, can just pull that out and compost the entire bag, close it up, and keep flies to a minimum?
So that was actually the idea I also had originally. So this invention is mainly used in cafeterias, malls, offices, and food courts. So this idea can totally be used there. It just at the time I was creating this prototype, I was unable to find those bins, but totally in the future, we will have those options while selling our prototype, while selling our invention. There will be an option to have biodegradable containers.
That's really beautifully designed. I
Thank
applaud
you.
you. And I love your research. Your data was top notch. I have
Thank
no
you.
doubt you're right.
So I actually have a question too. This entire endeavor was an incredibly impressive feat for someone who's only 11 years old, and really just shows that no matter what age you are, you can invent as long as you have enough perseverance and motivation. But I do have a question. Did you have anyone who helped you with this task?
So I had a lot of people who helped me. Originally, when I first started creating this invention, which was in early fifth grade, a lot of my teachers helped me document my journey. And then after that, my parents helped me a lot in getting all the materials, helping me build my invention, helping me connect with people. And also my manufacturer helped me build my invention. So I had a lot of people that really helped me in a lot of different ways. My friends and neighbors also helped me too, as they tested my invention in their own homes. So I had a lot of help in this invention.
Excellent. You are an excellent public speaker.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
You do have a thing. You do have a thing for public speaking. I could feel the enthusiasm in when you were giving your presentation.
Thank you. I love to talk a lot. So
And I'm familiar with your middle school because I do live in Columbus, Ohio, and I've actually spoken at Olentangy Berlin High School. So keep it up. What's next?
thank you. I actually have two other inventions I'm currently working on. Maybe one day I'll have them here too.
Indeed.
In our next gift events, it would be great to host you here. Thank you.